So let's get into it. Back in 2008, this anonymous person, or maybe it was a group, we still don't know, who went by the name Satoshi Nakamoto, published this document online, just 9 pages long, and it was called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Little did anyone know it was about to launch a full-blown revolution. So today, we're going to unpack the blueprint that started it all.
And here's the thing you have to understand. The real genius of Bitcoin wasn't some crazy brand new technology that nobody had ever heard of. Nope. Instead, Satoshi brilliantly took a bunch of existing, pretty well understood ideas from cryptography and just stitched them together in a way no one had ever thought of before. The result was something completely new.
And you really have to think about the timing here. This paper drops right in the middle of the 2008 global financial crisis. I mean, the very institutions we were all told to trust our entire lives, the banks, the governments, they were literally failing right before our eyes. Faith in the system was just shattered. And then, at that exact moment, this paper appears, and it lays out this totally radical new way of thinking about money, one that didn't require you to trust anyone at all.
And the story just gets crazier from there. I mean, despite the media declaring Bitcoin dead nearly 500 times over the last decade plus, the network described in this little paper has just stubbornly refused to die. It just keeps on going, processing transactions, block after block, all powered by that original idea.
Okay, so what was the big problem that Satoshi was actually trying to solve? Well, it really boils down to a single word: trust. Or more specifically, the problem of needing to trust a third party, like a bank or a PayPal, just to send money to someone online.
Think about the way things normally work. The traditional system has some pretty serious weaknesses, right? Because banks have to step in and mediate disputes, transactions can actually be reversed. That creates a huge risk for sellers. And because they have all this overhead, their fees make tiny little payments, like tipping someone $1 online, almost impossible. And on top of all that, we have to give merchants all of our sensitive information, and we're just supposed to accept that a certain amount of fraud is going to happen. Satoshi looked at all that and thought, there has to be a better way.
And that leads us to the core disruptive question of the entire white paper. What if you could just build a system where two people could pay each other directly, online, with the same finality as handing over physical cash? No bank, no credit card company, no middleman at all. The solution proposed was, well, it was beautiful. Just replace that fragile human idea of trust with something much, much stronger: mathematical, cryptographic proof. A system where you don't have to trust anyone because you can simply check the math for yourself. This one sentence, right from the introduction of the white paper, is the whole ballgame. It lays out a complete paradigm shift. See, this isn't about making the old system a little bit faster or a little bit cheaper. This is about building something completely new on a totally different foundation. So what even is a Bitcoin, really? The paper is super clear on this. It's not a file on your computer. It's not a physical coin. A Bitcoin is simply an entry in a massive shared public record book. Its entire existence is defined by this chain of digital signatures that proves who owned it all the way back to the beginning.
I absolutely love this analogy. Imagine a package being sent all around the world, but taped to the outside is a packing slip that is completely public. Everyone can see every single address it's ever been to and the exact time of every single delivery. This transparent, unchangeable history, that's exactly what the blockchain is for every single transaction. So how is this chain kept secure? Well, think of it this way. Transactions get bundled together into blocks. Each block is then sealed with a unique digital fingerprint, which is called a hash. Then that unique fingerprint is stamped with the time and is mathematically woven into the next block in the chain. This creates this chronological interlocking chain where if you try to change anything in the past, you'd break all the links that came after it. It makes it practically impossible to tamper with.
Okay, but wait a minute. If there's no central boss, no company in charge, how does this scattered, decentralized network agree on which blocks are legitimate and which ones get added to the chain? And this brings us to the most innovative, most crucial part of the entire paper, a system called proof of work. Proof of work is the magic ingredient. It's the bridge between the digital world of Bitcoin and our physical world. It forces participants, we call miners, to spend real-world resources, actual computer processing power, and electricity to solve an incredibly hard math puzzle. This work is what gives the network its security. It's what anchors it in reality. You see, as Satoshi pointed out, a simple system like one IP address, one vote would be super easy for an attacker to cheat. They could just create millions of fake IP addresses. But
By tying a vote to a CPU, to real computing power, Satoshi gave each vote a real-world cost. Suddenly, trying to cheat the system would require a massive, almost unimaginably expensive amount of energy.
Probably the easiest way to think about it is like a giant, nonstop global lottery. You have specialized computers all over the planet making trillions of guesses every single second, all competing to find one very specific winning number. The first one to find it wins. And what's the prize for winning this crazy global lottery? Well, the winner gets to add the next block to the chain, and for their effort, they are rewarded with a block of brand newly created Bitcoin, plus all the fees from the transactions inside that block. And that incentive, right there, that's what powers the whole system. It brilliantly makes it way more profitable for miners to be honest and secure the network than to try and attack it. Of course, we have to remember that 9-page blueprint was written over a decade ago. And as this network has grown from just an obscure idea on a mailing list to a global phenomenon, it's evolved in ways its creator might not have ever predicted. So let's take a quick look at how today's reality stacks up against that original vision. And this is where things get really interesting, because the vision and the reality have diverged quite a bit. First up, the main use case. The paper described it as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system for, buying coffee. But today, it's primarily treated as an investment, a sort of digital gold. Then there's mining. The original idea was one CPU, one vote, meaning anyone with a computer could participate. That has given way to these massive industrial-scale mining farms, which centralizes security. And finally, privacy. While the system was designed to be anonymous, in reality, most transactions are now traceable through the very centralized exchanges people have to use.
And a bunch of other challenges have popped up too. The blockchain itself is now over 600 gigabytes. That makes it really hard for a regular person to download it all and help validate the network. And then you have the ongoing battles over speed and fees, which have shown that scaling this thing for the whole world to use is way more complicated than anyone could have guessed back in 2008.
So yeah, Bitcoin has changed. A lot. But that core idea from that original 9-page document, it's still there. And it leaves us with a really fascinating question, doesn't it? In a world that seems to demand more and more trust in fewer and fewer powerful institutions, has the need for a system based on verifiable proof, not just trust, ever been more relevant?